You may be watching this because you may know someone who is highly sensitive, or you may think you are a highly sensitive person. Approximately 1 in 4 people, or 20% of the population, has an innate biological trait known as sensory processing sensitivity, which is the scientific term for the highly sensitive person. What does it mean to be a highly sensitive person? Highly sensitive people, or HSPs, are born with a biological trait that gives them a finely tuned nervous system. This unique nervous system is more responsive to environmental stimuli, so they process information deeply, feel more deeply, and perceive the sights and sounds of the world in a much more amplified way. For a highly sensitive person, their nervous system is unable to filter the stimuli like non-HSPs. They tend to become easily aroused and overstimulated by what others may experience as normal. Being a HSP and working 8 hours a day in a busy office with a lot of sensory stimuli, this would easily lead the HSP to cognitive fatigue by the end of the day. Or being in a group with a lot of rich sensory stimuli. For example, being in a group with multiple conversations, whilst children playing in the background and having the TV on. The highly sensitive person would perhaps feel out of control, ungrounded, dizzy, or experience a sensory shutdown when there is too much sensory information coming through. This is why highly sensitive people reach their threshold for environmental stimuli much more quicker than non-HSPs, because of their natural, biological heightened central nervous system. Which is why most HSPs tend to prefer solitude over crowds, and thrive better in calm and peaceful environments. Knowing the science and research behind high sensitivity can be beneficial to the HSP. Knowing that they have a unique system that is innate brings comfort and acceptance. There has been research and scientific studies carried out using brain scanners and FMRI to determine what makes the highly sensitive person. So, what are the biological differences in the highly sensitive person, which gives them this unique nervous system? Well, let's take a closer look at what these are. The central nervous system is made up of the brain and spinal cord. The nervous system is the body's major communication and control network. Information in the form of electrical signals is relayed constantly from the sense organs to and from the brain through complex networks of neurons. Research shows that mirror neurons are much more active in HSPs. Mirror neurons are powerful little neurons that fire up when you recognize mirroring behavior in other people. So when you see a person get hurt, you feel the pain and internally feel the ouch. Or when you see someone yawn, you mirror this behavior and you end up yawning too. When HSPs were looking at pictures of loved ones being happy, and then shown pictures of strangers with sad faces, there was stronger activity in this region of this brain. So to the HSPs it did not matter if it was a stranger or a loved one, the empathy was the same. So when HSPs recognize the pain or joy that someone is going through, and relate to it like it's their own, it is because of this mirror neuron system activity. HSPs don't necessarily have more mirror neurons than others, they are just more active, which would explain why so many HSPs have deep empathy. Having a highly active mirror neuron system gives the highly sensitive people the ability to pick up on what other people are thinking and feeling. This could be while watching a film, they can feel the character played, hence, which is why HSPs find it difficult to watch violent films. Mirror neurons is what makes us humans, and how we can connect with each other. This is highly advantage in a society, but can also overwhelm the HSP. The next research shows that HSPs have more brain activation in the insula and cingulate area. So what is the insula? The insula is a portion of the cerebral cortex, folded deep on both sides of the brain. It is a little limbic structure. HSPs have more activity in this area. This is a part of the brain that integrates moment-to-moment knowledge of inner states and emotions, bodily position and outer events. Some have called it the seat of consciousness. HSPs are much more attuned to what's going around inside their bodies and externally. So it helps to feel into internal states. Like when you feeling cold or hungry. That is the insula that is telling you. Or when you are feeling anxious or on edge. It is the insula that allows you to do this and feel the different states. Having much more active blood flow to the insula and cingulate area gives HSPs deeper insights and awareness, and is highly advantaged to the HSP. Another research shows a variant in norepinephrine gene, which gives a vivid experience to the highly sensitive person and more blood flow in the prefrontal cortex. This area is where all the deep processing happens for the HSP. The prefrontal cortex is part of the brain, located behind the eyes. This is the golden place of where deep processing of large sensory data happens. This area then influences other brain regions, particularly the amygdala. The prefrontal cortex is used to perform the highest capacities like to contemplate, make plans, dream of the future, problem solving, personality expression, or any higher executive cognitive function. It happens in this part of the brain. Highly sensitive people have a gene variant in the neurotransmitter called norepinephrine, which helps in the body's stress response. This variant is what amplifies the emotional vividness and the perception of how HSPs experience life, along with an elaborate emotional enhancement. It is because of this they see the world differently. Another research suggests that 10 genes related to the dopamine system are associated with high sensitivity. What is dopamine and what role does it play? Dopamine is a neurotransmitter, and is responsible for sending signals from the nervous system to the brain. It is part of the reward system, so during pleasurable moments or situations, dopamine is released, which causes a person to seek out a desirable activity over and over again. This suggests that there are genes associated with high sensitivity that are in the dopamine system, which plays a role with the active, pause-to-check system in HSPs. This would also explain why many HSPs are less driven by external rewards such as a bigger pay, bigger social circle or enjoying competitions. For example, for a HSP, having a meal in a tranquil restaurant with ambivalent lighting would be more appealing, or having meaningful talks, or a genuine connection with people. Having a different dopamine system becomes an advantage to the HSP, as it avoids overstimulation. Another important research, done in 2012 by Cecily Licht and others at the Center for Integrated Molecular Brain Imaging in Copenhagen, reported that many, or most HSPs carry one of the short variation of the serotonin transporter, also known as 5-HTTLPR. You may be wondering, what is serotonin? Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that carries signals between neurons throughout the body. So in the brain, serotonin helps with mood regulation and memory. It is often called the body's natural feel-good chemical. What is a serotonin transporter? Serotonin transporter is a chemical that helps to move the serotonin throughout the brain, and it has 3 variations: short, long, and long. For years, it was known that the short version, or the 5-HTTLPR, of this gene, are associated with depression and various other emotional problems, but not always. People who are depressed usually carry these short variations, yet people who have them were not necessarily depressed. In fact, some were usually happy and emotionally well regulated. This means, we now know that even if the HSP carries the short variation, it is the one that causes differential susceptibility, or when a HSP reacts to both positive and negative experience. So the environment and lifestyle is very much important, whether the HSP is to thrive or become overwhelmed, because of the short serotonin transporter that many HSPs have. We are coming to the end of the video. So far, research tells us that having the highly sensitive trait is deeply rooted in the HSP's physiology, it is part of their biology, and it is who they are. If you know you have this trait, please embrace it. It is a natural, normal, inherited trait that has many advantages. Please also raise awareness of this trait by sharing this video with others who also may benefit from watching this. Thank you for watching.